Yes, I can indeed. So, well, to begin with, throughout my practice this year, I have been collaborating with a fellow student and joining with other people within the art community and outside of the art community too. And so, carrying out research, I found that collaboration can be lots of different things. It's not as loose of a term as I once thought it was. It can be used for many different reasons. But I was looking into how collaboration can be seen as a technical innovation. It can be used to support other artists and produce new and exciting work. And one of the points raised in one of the books that I read was that collaboration today requires a strategic engagement across the arts, social media, networking, and technological innovation, which is really interesting because throughout this module we have definitely been using a lot of the technological sides. So it kind of like we've been collaborating with each other, but our practices have been collaborating with the online world too. Other people who might be able to view our work or have any sort of input. We've kind of been collaborating with them on some sort of level. But collaboration can often be not based on skills, more to do with bringing people together and allowing people to become part of a bigger project. And yeah, recently a lot of collaborations have been because people want to collaborate and not just because they kind of have to get a project going. It's often now because it brings, as I said, groups of people together and a variety of different skills together. Next question.
So, why do collabs exist?
So, as I was mentioning, collaborations can exist for many different reasons. Sometimes it's to bring skills together. For example, if one person has more of the technological parts, someone might have more of the written skills. Yeah, so sometimes it can be to bring together lots of different skills, but sometimes it can also be used as a tool for promotion. So if there's a small group of artists, if they work together, they can then create a more wider audience. I feel like it gains a lot of interest. And yeah, I feel like working in a collaboration in my practice has definitely allowed me to explore a lot further, do things I wouldn't usually try. So I feel like it allows people to be a lot more bolder with the moves that they make. And it allows people to just feel a bit more free and at ease with what they're doing rather than feeling too precious and concerned about what they're doing.
So, when it comes to art being used within creativity and learning development schemes, how would you say that art is used, and what would you say people benefit from when they use these kind of learning schemes?
So I've been interested in looking at how art can be beneficial to younger people specifically. I feel like a lot of the time art can be disregarded as just like a little hobby or something that's not really important. But actually carrying out the research, I found that it backs up what I already kind of thought, that it can be incredibly beneficial. For example, it can really develop the brains of young children. It really makes an enhanced sort of experience for children who are participating in creative activities. I think it's beyond just creating things, like it really does go a lot further than that. It can start to teach them about other things, such as leading on to numeracy and literacy skills. These sorts of things often play a part in the well-being of a young child or young person too, because I feel like it's a way of people opening up a lot more. And yeah, the social, educational and political context for creativity is definitely highlighted in a lot of the research I looked into. But yeah, I mean, one of the things that I read was that creativity is important because it enables us to respond to a rapidly changing world. And I feel like that is incredibly true, because a lot of these curriculums for many different subjects are kind of set and don't change very much, whereas art can be quite an open thing. People can just create like whatever they want to, or just express themselves in what other way possible. So yeah, it's really beneficial for many different reasons, and as I said, it can really develop a young person.
You mentioned about art in education, so I'm not going to ask you about that one. In terms of art being used for terms of mental well-being and health in general, how would you say art helps with mental well-being and health?
So art can be such a tool to boost mental health. I mean, not only just participating in it just because, you know, you kind of feel like you want to, or it can also be widely used in therapy, like art therapy, for example. But it really, like, carrying out research proves that actually it really can affect your mental health. And some of the research that I carried out discussed the similarities between creative activities and nursing, which I thought was really interesting. It really can affect many parts of our development, and the research I carried out did express that people who did participate in creative activities had 80% less mental health issues than the ones that didn't. So yeah, I mean, another really interesting thing that I found out was a lot of researchers and psychologists believe that weirdly mental health and art can tend to go hand in hand. For example, I did find out something that apparently people with mental health issues can naturally be more creative. I'm not exactly sure why that is, or if it's something that stems from the mental health and it's a way of coping, which I know is also something possible. But yeah, that is something that I thought very interesting. So not only does it help people who might need something to calm them down or ground them a bit, it can also be something that just naturally occurs. Let me think. Yeah, I think that's about it for that bit, really.
So you discussed art in the mental health community. When it comes to art in the rest of the community, could you discuss that a little bit more, please?
So I was looking into how art can be embedded within the communities, because that's something that we in our collective practice have been looking at a lot. We're definitely connecting with the outside world, other people, we're trying to be a part of the community as much as possible. So a lot of the things that I was reading was about how community art is beneficial and maybe the controversies of it. A lot of people might see it as a beauty in the world. Walking, by public art is something that a lot of people enjoy, whereas some people might see it as a nuisance, is something that I read. So it really does bring some good positive elements, but then some more negative elements too. It can, as I said, be quite controversial because polarized views, yes. Many people might, as I said, really enjoy that, whether that be artists or just everyday people. I feel even though it does bring about some issues, community art can be incredibly important because it can really bring out the vibrancy of the community, and it just, as I said previously, it brings people together, and the concerns of who actually owns the art is also something that can crop up a little bit, but I feel even though it has many divided opinions, lots of people can appreciate the work that's produced. And as I've mentioned earlier, it can bring people together, and it can bring people of all ages, genders, backgrounds, which I think is quite nice. And it becomes really inclusive then, it becomes really accessible to people, and I feel like that's something that's incredibly important. So one of the writers that I was looking into suggested that it can tackle the idea of art empowerment and sustainability. These are also some sort of issues that can arise, and to ensure that if we are speaking about public art, in particular, then of course it has to be sustainable.